Hello, and welcome to our SIGNL4 release series. Today we're going over the May 2024 release for SIGNL4. In this new release, what we have focused on is bringing in a new update to our shift scheduling inside of SIGNL4. And let me go ahead and showcase what we've added here. So if I go ahead and select one of my teams and go to my new shift and duties menu option, we are going to see a couple of new options here at the top. So right off the bat, we have the punch in and out of duty. How do you want your users to punch in and out? So right now I have it set that they have to punch in manually via the mobile app. So I would go into my mobile app and I would just click on my picture to go off duty or go back on duty, or use the change status option here to go on and off duty. So we also have where you can hand over via the Copilot. And when I turn this on, we'll see another couple of options show up here. So this is where we have the minimum staff enforcement, which is the minimum number of users on duty. So if we have this set to 1, I need at all points in times have 1 member on duty, which means if I'm the only person on duty, I cannot go off duty for my IT ops teams at all until somebody else comes on duty, and then I can go off. And then we also have how long do we want the duty lengths to be. So right now I have it set to 1 week, 7 days, but you also have a number of options in here. So you can choose any one of these options, and that's how long your duty shift is going to be. So I'm going to keep it at 7, and I'm going to go hand over Mondays at 9 a.m. So the start of the work week all the way up until the weekend is included. Next up we have here is the handover day. So like I said, 9 a.m. Monday, so these two kind of tie together there. And then underneath those, we have send notification on a punch in or punch out. And what this is going to do is when I punch in and out, it's going to alert other duty members on the team that, hey, my user, Robert user, has punched in or punched out, depending on which option I just did, to let them know that, hey, if I was on duty waiting for somebody else to come on duty, I can now go off duty. Or to just inform everybody that, hey, I'm on duty now, so we're sharing the workload. And then the next up we have is our post-duty report. And what this is going to do is at the end of your duty, it's going to send you out an email saying, hey, here's the report. Here's all the signals that came in. Here's how you handled them. Here's how long they were open, acknowledged, all the information for the alerts that came in during your shift. Then at the end, we have the monthly duty time report. And what this is going to do is at the end of every month, it gives you, hey, you worked these shifts. Here's what happened on your shift. So it's kind of a monthly post-duty report here to give you all the information that happened during your month of duties. And then the final option is carbon copy too. And what this is going to do is, in addition to sending you an email for the post-duty report and the monthly duty report, is going to also send it to whatever email you have here input. So I can input the manager's email address, and then everybody will get their monthly reports and their post-duty reports, but I will also receive a copy at the same time. And then my final option here is my calendar-based option. And now that we have calendar-based, we'll actually see the calendar shows back up, and we'll see the same notification options up here. So we still have our monthly duty time report, the carbon copy, those work the same, as well as the send notification on punch in and out and the post-duty report. However, we do have a new option here, send reminder before and at duty start. And what this is going to do is, when enabled, 30 minutes before my shift starts, I'll get a reminder saying, hey, I have a duty that starts in 30 minutes. And then right as my shift starts, I'll get another reminder saying, hey, we just logged you in for your shift. Hope it's a good one. And now that the settings are saved, I can now go down to my actual calendar here. And just like before, we have the calendar. We have the week and month view. We have the option to add your holidays to the calendar, as well as just jump to today. So if I happen to go to the next month, but I want to go back to today, I can do that quickly. But what we now have is we've separated out creating a shift, which is the repeatable shift for your business, and then assigning users to that shift, which would be the duties portion. So as we can see here, right now, I have nothing scheduled for my users on shifts and or duties. I can still use the duties tab to manually add shifts, drag and drop, one click. All of that still works the same exact as it used to. However, what we also have is the ability to use shifts and then assign the shifts to users. So let me go back to my shifts tab, which is our new one. And we'll see here that I'm still in my monthly tab, but I want to go ahead and create a new shift and then start scheduling my users to that shift. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to create shift. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is my Monday through Friday, my work weeks, 9 to 5. So I have right here, I have my first shift Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We don't cover the weekends on this. We want this to start on this Monday, and we want it to staff change weekly at 9 a.m. And then we want it to repeat forever or until I can put an end date onto it. For our purposes today, we're going to go ahead and do forever. Next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and name my shift. I'm going to call this my weekday day shift. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this one as the blue color for this one, but we do give you also the option to change the colors of them. Just give you a quick at a glance, you can know exactly what you're looking at. The next up here is we have this 24/7 coverage. Now I'm not doing 24/7 because I don't want my users to be on for 24. We are actually going to do the, like I said, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday here. And then on holidays, do we want to apply this coverage or have no shifts or allow custom coverage applies? So if I choose custom, I actually get to choose what my coverage for the holidays will be. And no shifts means we're off duty, and above also applies, means whatever's up here, that's what's going to apply for the holiday. For mine, I'm going to go ahead and do no shifts take place. Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, I don't want my users working. So next up, I'm going to say how many people do we want on this shift? And I can have anywhere up to, because I only have 3 people on my team, anywhere up to 3, but I can't actually increase that to even more than I have on my team. However, for now, I'm going to go ahead and leave this as 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on the create button. And now we see over here, we have my weekday day shift, and I see that I have users, and I have 1 user that I can apply to this. So I'm going to go ahead and put Bruce in for this first week, which is the current week, and then Peter in for the next week, and then Robert in for the final week. And we'll see here already, I got a notification let me know Bruce just went on duty. So we see that Bruce is now on duty. Now my user was already on duty manually, so I can go off duty now whenever I feel like. However, Bruce can't go off duty because he has the scheduled shift. And if I go over to my next month, we'll actually see that this has gone over to that was the last one we applied to last month, and then I can go back to Bruce, Peter, and Robert, and just keep going like that. Okay, so now that I have my weekday day shifts, I'm going to go ahead and create another shift. Once we have our shifts created and the times and dates are correct, we just go ahead and click on the create button, and we're going to go ahead and see the second shift here, showing, hey, weekday evenings for these users. And again, this is 1 user. So now I'm going to start with Peter, and then Robert, and then Bruce. So it's a little bit different. It's just 1 down from our other shift. So right now we have Bruce working on the weekdays, and then Peter working on the evenings, and then Robert doesn't work on these shifts at all. However, we still have 8 hours that aren't covered by our team. So I'm going to go ahead and create a third shift, and then I'm going to call this one the graveyard shift. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a color of pink or red, however we want to see it. And now I'm going to do the same thing. Starts 5:20, weekly, shift change forever. However, I want this one to start at 1 a.m. and go to 9 a.m. So, and we'll notice here that when I selected Monday 1 a.m. for the start, my start time here changed from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. And then I'm going to go ahead and add Tuesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then back on the holidays for no shifts, 1 person, and I'm going to click on create. So now we see all 3 shifts in here. And then this one does cop in the top because technically it does take place first during the day, even though it is the 3rd one we created. So now for this one, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and go with Robert first, and then Bruce second, and then Peter third. So we got 3 different shifts here, and it covers 3 different times of the day, all covering up my days. Now, the last thing I want to do is, you know what? I do need something on the weekends, but on the weekends, it's just going to be an all call, and we're just going to say that on this one, we'll go ahead and give it an orange color, and we'll change this from Friday at 5 p.m. until Monday at 1 a.m., because that's when my graveyard shift kicks in. We want to go ahead and put all 3 users on duty, not covered during weekend, or not covered during holidays again. Now, because I am starting on the weekends, I actually need to go over here and change my start date to match the actual Friday, the 24th, and then click on the create button. So now I have my weekend shifts. And we'll see here that I have room for 3 people on here. So I can add Robert, Bruce, and Peter to be on shift during the weekends. And we do have some overlap between our weekday evening shift and our weekend shift because this goes until 1 a.m. on Saturday morning, but this starts at 5 p.m. on Friday. So I can actually edit one of these two to change that. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the weekday evening shift. And I can edit it just by clicking on the shift here. Now we'll notice that since I have users assigned to it, then now all I can change would be the name, the color, or the expiration date, which in our case repeats forever. So what I would have to do is cancel this, remove Peter, and now that we have nobody assigned to the weekday evening shift, I can come back in here and edit it again. So what I want to do is remove this shift completely. I can just click on the X right there, click on the save button, and we'll see that that one now ends there, and this one now starts and covers all the way up until the graveyard shift kicks in. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put my users back in there. So I'm going to put Peter, Robert, and Bruce back on it. So now as we can see, I have my shifts completely created and ready to start working to take over 3 different shifts during the weekdays and then 1 shift that covers the entire weekend with different numbers depending on different colors, different names, and different number of users for these 3 shifts. And this is how I create the shifts. And then after I created the shifts, I had the option to go ahead and add my users on here to create the duties for the users, which means if I go back over here to my duties page, I will now start seeing where I actually have shifts created for all of these users for the scheduled shifts that they're on now. And if I go over to the next month, we'll see this continues on to the next month, which is where I stopped putting in the actual users, and I can continue on and we'll actually see these duty schedulers here inside the duty scheduler after I've assigned my users. Now, once I'm on the duty scheduler, I still have all my options where I can create a copy of the duties. I can set a stand-in, or I can export it into iCal so I can import it onto my phone or into my calendar so I can keep track of my scheduled shifts outside of SIGNL4. And I also have the new duty settings button, which brings us back to some of the options we used to have on the top portion. And what this gives you is the one-click scheduling, which allows me to just click in between these 2 blue lines to schedule a full 7-day shift from Monday at 9 a.m. all the way up until the next Monday at 9 a.m. And this is where I would turn that on and then change the length of those shifts. So if I go down here on my duty scheduler, go over here to another month. So we'll see here that Robert has nothing scheduled for this week. So if I just go ahead and click, we'll see that it schedules from Monday at 9 to Monday at 9, showing me one-click scheduling still works and is still functional with the new shifts and duties. Now, we still have the ability to do stand-ins. Okay, so now I went back over here to my week view, and let's say here I have my weekday day shift. But Bruce has a doctor's appointment, so I need to create a stand-in. So I would go over here, click on my set stand-in. I'm going to say who needs the stand-in. Bruce is the person who needs it, and from when and where I need. So I'm going to say I need it on the 22nd from 1 p.m. So that's the start, and I only need it covered until about, let's say, 2:30. That gives me time to get to my doctor's appointment, have my doctor's appointment, and then still get back and be on duty again. And then we get to choose who we want to do our stand-in. So let's say Peter says, hey, I'll take an hour and a half of yours if you take an hour and a half of my shift. So we'll go ahead and save that. And we'll actually see that the Bruce shift still stays intact, and it actually even shows you who's covering it by color coding it. So if I go over to this one and edit this and change it from Bruce to Robert, save, we'll actually see the color coding on Bruce's shift change because it's now me and my dark blue covering his light blue instead of the green of Peter. Okay, so now what Peter says is he's going to cover it for you, but he would like you to cover an hour and a half of his shift. And Bruce says okay with that. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do another stand-in. And this time, Peter's the user who needs the stand-in. And we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go back over here to the 22nd. And his starts at 5 p.m. normally, which is where we're going to start the stand-in. So he's going to get the stand-in from 5 to 6:30. And Bruce is the one that's going to do the stand-in for him. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And we'll see that little hour-and-a-half chunk of shift jumps up from the Peter over to the Bruce, and we can again see the color coding. We see the light blue showing because Bruce is the one that's handling it, and we see the stand-in with even the stand-in icon showing over here. And this is a quick overview of the new updates to SIGNL4's scheduling called our shifts and duties, and how we can move and schedule both shifts and duties for our users and create the best scheduling possible. Thank you and have a good day. Goodbye.